Okay, we're going to show you how to use the book resource. The book resource is a way of creating a multi-page resource for your students to use and they can print out and stuff. It's not an interactive resource, although you can put links and things in, and you can also embed movies and stuff like that in it. But we'll have a look at it now. It doesn't come as a standard install of Moodle, but you can download it from moodle.org and install it if you don't have it in your site. So we go to add a resource here. Once we turn our editing on first of all, so we have these options here, and then we choose add a resource and book. Okay, we give it a name, so I'm just going to say it's a book about technology. Okay. And then what we can choose is different types of chapter numbering. Numbers, billets, or indented, and you'll have a look at that in a second. So I'm going to choose numbers. You can disable printing if you want, but in most instances I'd imagine you'd want to keep that on. So I'm just going to save that. All I've done is give it a name, give it a summary, change the type of chapter numbering, and I'm going to save and return to the course. So now I want to go in and do things in my book. So this is our first chapter that we're doing. So we're going to say this is Technology Introduction. Okay, now I'm just going to take stuff from Wikipedia here, just to give you an example. So I'm going to paste my different stuff in there, and then we can save those changes. And so here's the start of our book. We can see down the left hand side here is the table of contents, and then the main content in here. To add another chapter in here, this is my first chapter, Technology Introduction. I can add a new chapter like this. Okay, so I'm going to do a chapter about Apple. Okay, so again we've got some wiki stuff here about Apple, so I'm going to paste that in there, and that's just an introduction to the Apple company. And so we can see that we've got two chapters. Now I want to add a sub-chapter now, so I'm going to have a second part here after Inside Apple. So we're going to say this is about the iPod. I'm going to include it as a sub-chapter. So I'll do a quick search for iPod on Wiki. And again, I'll just copy this in. Obviously this would be breaking copyright, so it's not something I would suggest that you do in your course. But what I'm going to do at the bottom here is I'm going to embed this iPod Shuffle video as well. So I'm going to click down here to get the video embed code, and we get this blue code arriving here. So I can now right click and copy. I'm going to go back into my course now. If I pasted it in now, all that code would just appear as text, and so that wouldn't be any good. What we want is the browser to interpret that code and display the video as an embedded video. So I use this up here. I think this is toggle HTML source. So I'm going to click on that, and the stuff we've put in so far turns into HTML code, and I just scroll right to the end where I want my video to be, and I do Control and V to paste that code in. And now when we come out of the HTML source code by clicking it again, if we now scroll down, we can see this video is in here. Okay, and because we've selected it as a sub-chapter, because it's a sub-chapter of that Apple topic, of that Apple chapter, we can see how that looks. So we'll save the changes there. And you can see there's one's technology, Apple, and then 2.1 is iPod. Now what I can do is, if I go back into the books and into the chapter numbering part here that we did before, and let's say I change that to indented and save and return. If you now look at the book, you can see that the chapters don't have the numbers on it anymore, but they do have an indent where the sub-chapters are. And if we look at that from a student's point of view, there's our book there. So we've got Technology Introduction. We can click onto Apple, find out about Apple. stuff about the iPod, plus the video embedded in there. So we can play that video now. And they can print out either the complete book up here or just the chapters. They can print chapter at a time if they want to. And that's how to set up a book module. It's really straightforward, but it can make things look really nice.